Hi, I'm Janet. This is my son Thomas. We live in Northeast Kansas and we're here today to tell you our story. Monday morning, October 23rd, 1989, all six of us were in a rush to get ready for work and school. Al and I were both getting ready for work and the younger boys were hurrying to get ready for school. Thomas was working that fall semester for a bridge maintenance crew. The last time I saw Thomas that morning at home, he was sitting at the kitchen table preparing his boxed lunch, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He was in a hurry and left before I had the opportunity to say goodbye. I still remember looking out the window and seeing the back of his car hurrying down the street. We each left that morning for our own destinations. About 9:30 that morning, I was very surprised when Alan, my husband, came into my office. I worked in a doctor's office. His face was ashen. At first I assumed he'd been injured. Then he told me that he had just gotten a call and that Thomas had been very seriously injured on the job, and at that moment the doctors were attempting to resuscitate. We immediately left to drive the 27 miles to the hospital where Thomas was being treated. We prayed all the way. At the hospital we learned that Thomas had been accidentally electrocuted, resulting in sudden death. We were told that Thomas's work crew was moving some equipment in the work yards using a crane. Thomas's job was to hold the guide cable attached to the boom, stabilizing the item being moved across the yards. The man driving the crane accidentally swung the boom around and hit the electrical power lines that hung only 25 foot, 1 inch above the ground and ran across the work area. On impact, the electricity ran down the guide cable that Thomas was holding. Power went into his right hand, through his body, and exited out the toes of his boots. The toes of his boots were blown out from the inside, leather fragmented and torn. Co-workers told us that when the power hit Thomas, it was 7,200 volts. His whole body arced, and he fell to the ground. An ambulance was called. Co-workers at the work site performed CPR until the ambulance arrived. EMTs continued with CPR en route to the ER where doctors began resuscitation. The doctors worked hard to bring life back to his body. 7 times they used the defibrillator in an attempt to start his heart. The pads left 7 sets of burn marks on his chest area. After about 50 minutes of resuscitation efforts, there was finally a heartbeat, but no respirations. He was put on a ventilator. We were told that the doctors had a very difficult time placing the vent tube due to massive swelling in Thomas's esophagus, a result of electrical burns. That would cause enormous swelling. He was transferred by life flight to Stormontdale Hospital. How has this changed our lives? It has changed every single aspect of life. Taking care of Thomas is a full-time job. Daily he needs to be showered, teeth brushed, shaved, nail care, hair care, including cutting and styling. His skin needs special care to avoid pressure sores. He's not active, so constipation is a constant concern and needs to be addressed daily. He needs to be transferred from the bed to the shower chair, back to the bed, then dressed and transferred to the wheelchair, and then back to the bed for rest, and then back to the wheelchair again and throughout the day. He needs tube feedings with extra proteins. At night he needs to be turned and repositioned about every 2 hours. He needs medical supplies that must be kept in stock. He's very vulnerable to respiratory problems, and we are constantly on guard to prevent pneumonia. Someone must be with Thomas at all times. His life stopped on October 23, 1989, yet he is living. Yes, he is brain damaged, but he is not brain dead. We really don't know how much he is aware of. He has never smiled or laughed since he was injured. He frowns a lot, and he moans when he is uncomfortable. When he moans, we're frantically trying to figure out what is hurting so we can fix it. He has cried. He sleeps a lot. He is never alone and perhaps would like to be. Sometimes while I am speaking to him, just sharing a thought, there is a look in his eyes that is the old familiar Thomas that I knew so well, and I feel that he truly does understand, but is not able to express that thought in return. Is he being tortured, living in a body that doesn't work? Is he fully aware of his surroundings but not able to respond? We don't really know. It has been nearly 23 years since October 23, 1989. What is in the future? We don't know. God does. We do know that we love Thomas. We will continue to care for him and to pray for him. We miss him. We miss his sense of humor. We miss his sweet nature. And we miss everything about him. We are growing older. We have great concerns regarding his future. If the time should come and we're not able to care for him, being too old or sick, we are uncertain exactly what we will do. We have concern that he would not fare well in a nursing home. He's a big guy and very hard to take care of. The nursing home staff couldn't possibly know that he's a wonderful, sweet, and loving person. It would be difficult for anyone else to care for him like we do. We anticipate his needs just to keep him healthy and as comfortable as possible. Once again, we must trust in God, who never leaves us or forsakes us. What would you do if this was your very own child? Many people would not feel capable or even be willing to make the sacrifices we've made. Yes, we could have institutionalized Thomas 23 years ago, but he is our child. He is bone of our bone and flesh of our flesh, given to us, and his brokenness does not change that. He's ours. I pray that no other family will ever have to experience this tragic life change that all of us have had to endure. Thank you for listening to my story.